welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's going on? Hello? Oh yeah, it's just me today. Nailed it. All right, so we are going to be rounding out our podcast series. If you're just new here, thank you so much for joining. Please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. What we're doing here is we did a whole series around our podcast setup. We went over the audio that you need to record an audio podcast. We went over some of the video stuff that you'll need, like different types of cameras, the differences between mirrorless and DSLR cameras. And then we also did a studio tour and a mobile setup tour since we do travel quite a bit for these interviews. So if you missed any of those episodes, please go back and check them out before you come to here, because this is kind of the whole thing here. This is the ending part of it. This is what you want to do at the end of it. You got to edit your episode, right? So it's going to be a little bit dependent on what software you have. I started off using this software called Cut or something like that. It was like a free software online. It did the job, but it didn't have all the functionality, or at least I didn't know of the functionality that it had when I started using it. It crashed my computer quite a bit. It was all manual clicking, and it just was not very good. So I ended up biting the bullet. Mike and I bought Adobe Premiere, the whole suite. So we have Illustrator, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, all of that stuff. It is a lot of money, but it has helped our workflow so much, and you'll see that during this process here. So if you're going to be using Adobe Premiere Pro to be editing your videos, I highly recommend following this whole episode that I do here, because it helped me so much. When I first started, it was very challenging to find information around how to do a multi-camera podcast and how to edit it with as much efficiency as possible. I was cutting and splicing each time one of us talked, and it was just a headache. So I'm going to show you how I do it right here. Now on the screen, you can see I already have some of the information uploaded to our hard drive here. So obviously the first step would be for you to upload your files to your hard drive. One thing that you should do before you start really getting into editing, there's this free software here. It's called Levelator. And what this does is it takes your audio and basically levels it out, all the highs and valleys. So whoever's listening to the podcast isn't experiencing like a very high point and then a very low point, and then a very high point and then a very low point. So I highly recommend doing this every time that you record an episode. It's just as simple as clicking on the file that you have in there. This is our Wednesday Whiskey Review that we're going to be going over today. Just clicking on the file that you have in here, dropping it into the Levelator platform, letting it run, and then it's going to spit out a Wednesday Whiskey Review output file. That's what you're going to want to use to do your episode. Again, it just makes it so much easier and better for the listeners to be able to hear a more consistent sound, especially when they're driving or they have headphones in. It's just going to be so much easier on their ears, and they'll end up listening to more episodes if they enjoy listening to it. If you're blowing out their eardrums every single time, they're not going to come back. So definitely do that. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to import these into Adobe Premiere Pro. So what I've done here is I have created a template that I use for all of our episodes, Wednesday Whiskey Reviews, Thursday episodes, and special interviews. Again, it's just one of the efficiency buildings that I've done to not have to set up and basically recreate the wheel every single time that I'm doing some editing. So I've done this from the start. It's do whatever you want. If you want to do this, great. If not, it's not a big deal, but I just like to have as much efficiency as possible. And clearly my computer is going super quick today, so it should be very good. All right, so we have our template here. Thanks to our patrons, obviously. Thank you so much. You guys are all the best, and you are who help us continue to create great content. So thank you very much. Also, I should mention the sponsor of today's episode, which is Addie's Wine and Spirits. If you don't know about Addie's Wine and Spirits, they are a local liquor store out in Williamsville, New York, and they're a family-run business. And that's what Mike and I are all about, is supporting family-run local businesses in the Buffalo area. And they make it easy for us to support them because they have literally everything that you would want. They have an amazing whiskey selection, a great vodka selection, any type of tequila that you would want, and a huge wine entire part of their store with a wine sommelier in-house. So they're able to help you pick out whatever wine that you'd want. Highly recommend going there. They're in Williamsville, and they're just a great family that run it, and they've helped us so much from the start of this podcast, and we want you guys to go help them as well. They do have an app that you can download. It's called the Addie's Wine and Spirits app on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. So go download that, You can buy anything off of there. You can actually buy our most recent single barrel with Clonakilty on there. So just go to that app, purchase it, and then you can go pick it up in store. Or they can ship it to you if you're in New York. So there you go. All right, so now you have Premiere Pro open, you have your template open, or if you're just starting a new project. If you are starting a new project, make sure that your sequence is going to be the actual parameters that you want it to be. I don't even know how to do this. I haven't done this in a while. All right, yeah, just make sure that your sequence is good. Anyway, so you're going to import your information into this part of Premiere Pro. So you're going to go to where all your files are. There's our Wednesday Whiskey Review and the Wednesday Whiskey Review output. You're just going to drag it and drop it into the project's template area over here. Now it's going to render and generate all the files for these two files that you dropped in. It's pretty quick right now because both of these files, I mean, this was only 22 minutes long or 12 minutes long or something like that, so it didn't take too long. If you have more of an hour-long episode or something, it's obviously going to take longer than that. So now from here, this is the important part. When you're creating a multi-camera episode for our Wednesday Whiskey Reviews, you know that it's a little bit different than our regular episodes or interviews. We have one camera angle and we zoom into either Mike or myself, whoever's talking. That, or if you're doing a multi-camera episode where it's just a regular episode, you do the same thing. The benefits of doing it this way, which I'm going to show you in a second, are so you can line up your audio and your video, and you don't have to do that manually by aligning all, like manually looking at the peak files from the audio. So this does this automatically for you, and it just makes sure that everything is going to be in sync going forward. So it's just significantly easier to do it this way, and it allows you to like sit back and just press a number on what camera you actually want it to be, which again is so much better than what I used to do in the free software. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create, highlight both clips or all the clips that you want to include into this episode. So again, we have our Wednesday Whiskey Review that we recorded with Abel Lower Cascanum, and then the audio output that we have from our Zoom interface. So now what we do here is we right click, go down to create multi-camera source sequence. Once you create that, you can name it. So I'm going to name this Wednesday Whiskey Review Abel Hour. And then you have the synchronize point. So synchronize point, if you have it on in points, it's going to synchronize it from the start of both clips, which you don't want because that's going to be out of sync. Out points, obviously it's just the reverse. Time code, you can assign a manual time code here. But what you really want to focus on is this audio right here. This audio is what's going to sync your camera audio to your interface audio or your mixer audio to make sure that those are aligned throughout this entire editing process. So once you do that, you select audio, you're going to press OK, and it's going to process for a little bit. All right, now once it's done processing, it's going to spit out this Wednesday Whiskey Review MP4, Wednesday Whiskey Review Abel Hour, whatever you named it, obviously. And this is your multi-camera sequence, and all of the clips that you sequenced into that or you process into that are going to be under this process clips bucket. So Wednesday Whiskey Review and Wednesday Whiskey Review output. So now from here, we're going to get into the actual editing portion of it. The first thing that you want to do is right click on the file that you just multi-cammed together, and then you're going to open in timeline first. Now the reason you're going to open in timeline first is because this is where you're going to want to do all your color correcting, any type of like audio fixing or like leveling or anything like that that you haven't done previously. This is where you're going to want to do that as well. And from this standpoint, you're going to want to create as many cameras as you want or as many viewing angles as you want before you start going into the actual editing process. So for the Wednesday Whiskey Reviews, this is our blank template that we use. We record on our Sony a6400 with a 16mm f1.4 lens. If you want any more information on that, go back and check out the Thursday episode when we went over all of our podcast equipment because we went into all that in detail. So now the first thing that I want to do is color correct this. We do a very basic color correcting here. You want to make sure you go to your window, workspace, color, and then it's going to spit out this Lumetri color template over here. And then you're going to want to just color correct it to what you see is the most accurate. It looks like it kind of tilted the camera too. I probably should have made sure it was level first, but whatever. So we do a very basic one. The exposure is correct. We did that all on camera. I like to add a little bit of contrast to it just to kind of spice up the image, I guess. And then from there, I just look at some of the high spots for the highlights to see if maybe the highlights are too blown out, you can do that, bring it all the way down. But then once you do that, some of our face gets a little bit distorted, so I'm not going to do too much of that. Just want to bring it down just enough so where you can still make out that it's Abelauer. Shadows, all the shadows, I like to bring up the shadows. Again, it just adds depth to the image. If you don't want to do that, again, this is all personal preference, so do whatever you feel is best for your specific episode. And then whites, just bring out some of the whites. And then the blacks, I kind of like to have deep blacks again, just for that more interesting viewing angle and adds more depth to each shot. So once you have your color set and you're pretty good with this, you're going to then create your different camera angles. Now, once you create your different camera angles, and then if you wanted to go back and adjust the colors again, just remember you have to do that same color adjustment to each camera angle you create. That's why doing the color adjustment first before you create the new camera angles is key. So what I do is I just click on the video clip, I press Alt because Alt allows you to copy without like Control C. Then you just bring up one, and then I do the same thing, Alt, bring up another. So now I have 3 different video files of the same thing. If I hide this one, it's still the same thing. So now with these 2 video files here, I create one for Mike and then one for myself. So I go up to the scale. I think I do 150, maybe? Sure? Sometimes it changes. I don't know what I'm doing. So I go to Mike and I zoom into his face, so when he's talking I can click on him, and then the other camera angle is obviously myself, so I go 150 again, do the same. So I have 162 is the vertical, and then 2857 is the horizontal, so 1602 I want to make sure is at least the same, 1602, and then I will just put this over to the end. So then it's on me. So now we have 3 different camera angles off of the one camera that we shot on. So again, this just, when you're watching it, it makes it more engaging because you're going to be watching and paying attention to the camera flickering, and you're going to be more involved when Mike's talking because you're going to be zoomed into Mike, and then you're going to be more involved when I'm talking because you're zoomed into me. So it just creates a different viewing experience for the viewers. Just keep that in mind. So then once you're done with that, it's pretty simple from there. You're going to go back to editing, click on that same clip that you have up here that you opened in timeline, and then you're going to right click, new sequence from clip, and then here you go. You have this green box here that has all 3 camera angles in it, and then you have to click on this little toggle here that says toggle multi-camera view. If you don't have that, you can go to this plus button here and then click on it from, where is it? Maybe it's not even in here because it's still here. Now I messed it all up. Well, how is it? Oh, here, duh. All right, so you're gonna click on this right here and then just bring it down to your little keyframe here that you're going to want to click on for everything that has your play button and everything else. And then that is where your multi-camera viewing angle will be. So once you click on that, you'll see you have your 3 viewing angles over here and then your output file over here. This is what you're going to be doing for the rest of the clip. So once you figure out your endpoint, let me try to find that. I think it's right here. Welcome back. Yep, so that's our beginning point. I'm going to come down here, cut it all the way over here. Actually, I'll make it a little bit closer that way. All right, and then now you're just going to basically rewatch the clip, and then you are going to be pressing whatever number key that you want to press for which viewing angle. So this is viewing angle 1, this is viewing angle 2, and then this is viewing angle 3. So when you're listening to this back, I normally start off with the entire scene, so Mike and I in the frame together, and then as we continue our discussion, if he has a long talking point, I'll switch the camera angle to him. So I'll press number 3 on the above keypad. You can't use your 9-pad keypad over to the right. That doesn't work for this. It's the keypad above all the QWERTY keyboard letters. So you're going to press spacebar to play, and then we're just going to go through the entire clip, 1, 2, or 3, depending on who's talking. And that's it. That's how you do this. Welcome back to another Wednesday Whiskey Review from the Buffalo Happy Hour. Today we have Abelauer Cascana.
quick about it. We should start with today's episode sponsor, Addie's. Thank you for your continued partnership.
So one of the cool things about this method too, when you're editing the podcast, and let's say you're either on your phone or you get distracted with something else and you forget to press one of the buttons right there, as you can see during this part here, I already edited, but
the scotch, that's always the big, the big turn-off term is it peaty? Does it smell like that?
I didn't switch it to me because I was distracted on something. So
when you're trying to describe what it is, but this is very pleasant.
Let's see where it is.
And yeah, I mean, I could easily see myself and Colleen sitting down and crushing this. It's my wife, for those that are new to our channel and don't know.
All right, so right here, I forgot to go back and press that it was from me. So now all that you do is you take the slider here, you go back to where you wanted it, press play again.
It's my wife, for those that are new to our channel and don't know.
All right, so and then just switch. It's literally that easy, which is another reason why I love doing it this way rather than doing it the other way, because it just takes a lot of that manual aspect out of it and it automates everything that you need to. The only thing that you have to do is just press 1, 2, or 3, and if you get distracted, just rewind and just do it again. It doesn't erase everything that you just did. As you can see, all of the cuts are still there that were made from every time I press the button. Every time that you press a button, it makes a cut. So I'll show you right now. If you play this back, I press 2 right now, or I'm sorry, you press 1 right now, it'll make that cut. So it's super simple to do. It's very easy and it takes no effort. It's just you have to pay attention just a little bit to make sure you make your cuts at the right time. But other than that, it's such an easy process to do, and I wish that I knew this from the start. I'm going to continue editing the rest of this now, and I'll show you the process of creating it, combining it, and exporting it once I'm done. All right, so we just finished editing and cutting and making all of those adjustments on what camera angle we want in the actual final product. And then from there, we're going to tidy everything up, put our end screen information and our thumbnail. I'll show you kind of how we create our thumbnail too. It's super simple. And then we will export it. So let's get into that now. Hopefully this doesn't take too long, but we just finished the episode. So from right there, I'm going to press C to cut, and I'm going to cut the rest of it, press V to go back to the regular cursor, and then delete everything after that. So now, like I told you, I have a template made for all of the episode end screen, the thumbnail portion of it, and then our sponsors. So I just go to our Wednesday videos, because this is a Wednesday whiskey review, copy all of this over, copy Wednesday whiskey review, paste. This is our end screen portion, so I just drag this to the end. This is our intro portion, so I drag this to the front like this. Pump it back. And then the rest of this, we have our subscribe button. So this subscribe is the regular ticker that is at the bottom of the ending and middle of the episode. If it's a longer episode, this goes at the end of this one. And then we have the actual subscribe animation that we made that goes in the front of the episode. We have to do something a little bit special with this, and I'll show you in a second. And then this right here is our sponsored segment. So Addie's Final Wine and Spirits again sponsors the Wednesday whiskey reviews as well as the Thursday episodes. So I make sure their graphic is in the lower part of the episode at all times. And then they also have a little B-roll, I guess, photo that goes over when we talk about picking up the bottle. So I just got to find that again.
Check their inventory and see what you would like to buy.
Right about here.
And have them ship it to you if you are within the state of New York.
So normally I cut out the part of their other sponsor over here just so it doesn't look super crowded. All right, and now we have to just finish editing this portion of the subscribe animation. So I'll cut this again, before and after. And then for here, I need to make sure that once this comes in
on the floor, as soon as you walk,
our video zooms out. So I'll go down here, remove that weird lack of video section, and then I'll go down to our video. I'll make sure that we're right before by using the arrow keys to make sure that we're right before this starts coming in. As you can see, the video is just starting to come in right here. So I'll make a keyframe mark on the position and the scale. And then I'll go into where this is finally completely in, and it doesn't zoom in anymore, which is right there. And I'll move this down to 50%, adjust this so it's in the middle of the video. And then it makes the keyframe there, and then I'll do the reverse on the ending of it. So right when it starts to zoom back out, I'll make a keyframe here. And then at the end of it all, I'll put it back to normal, 1080, 100. And there you go. And then we'll export this. You go up to File, Export Media, change this to H264 for video, rename it, because we always rename everything with the same naming convention, that way we don't get confused. BHH _ Wednesday Whiskey Review, and this is 10. Pendrin was 109, so this is going to be 110. So Wednesday Whiskey Review 110 _ today's date. Save, and then I queue it. I've seen that the Adobe Media Encoder encodes or exports things quicker than Premiere Pro does. I don't know if it's a setting or a glitch or some sort of maybe Media Encoder is just working a little bit better. But what I do is I then do it from Adobe Media Encoder. I don't know where it is right now though. Where are you at, bro? Hey, where are you at, bro? Hurrah. There she be, on the wrong screen, you little devil. And then from there, you just click on it, press play, basically to start the encoding. And then while it's doing that, you can still work in Premiere Pro, which is another thing that I like using Adobe Media Encoder for. If you export through Premiere Pro, you can't use Premiere Pro. So now I can do the other one, which is the MP3 version of it, because that goes to all of our podcast platforms. Boom, boom, boom. DHH, use the same naming convention. Done, donezo, cue that bad boy up. And then we start making the notes for that. All right, so both things were exported correctly. We got the check marks there. We're good to go. Now we're going to upload to the podcast platforms and to YouTube. We're going to go to our YouTube studio, create, upload video. Super simple, drag and drop. Nothing crazy here. Grab the video, drop it in. And then we are going to be putting in the title, which I have everything on that OneNote like you saw. So we're just going to copy the entire description, paste it in, make sure our thumbnail is there, which we already made for the actual episode itself. Put it in the Wednesday Whiskey Review playlist that has all of our Wednesday reviews on their whiskey and more. I think we have some beer and other stuff as well. And I don't really mess around with tags. I probably should, but I just don't have the time for this. Go to next, add our episode end screen, which is the typical end screen that we have. That way it gets thrown into the boxes that we created. It's basically just the last episode, which is good. Save that. Make sure that they check for copyright claims, which sometimes they flag us even though we pay for all of our stuff that we use. And then next, and then we set it to schedule. So I said that it's going to go live March 30th at 8 a.m. All of our videos go live on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday at 8 a.m. So it's super simple. Boom, boom, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. YouTube is done. Super simple. Next, we go to Red Circle, which is our podcast distribution platform. If you want more information around how we set all this up, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down below. We might do an episode on this. But from here, we go add new episode. Kind of the same thing as YouTube, but obviously instead of the video version, we're going to be uploading the audio version here. Boom, upload file. Same thing. We're going to start with the description because it's already in our clipboard. We're going to go to the title, paste this in. There's a little bit more to do with Red Circle, but that's fine. We're going to put it on 30 and 8 a.m. per usual. More upload or options. Episode number. This is going to be episode number 131 that this is going to be releasing with. We do more weeks rather than episode numbers, so just so you know, I don't know why we do that, but we do. Episode and then season 4. Publish. Almost done, I promise. It's basically analyzing the episode right now so we can put our insertion points for ads. I know that we took a break here, probably to either take a sniff or to take a taste of it. So I'll put the ad read there, put the ad read at the beginning and at the end. They make us put in 3 ad reads, so that's what we're gonna do. We just do this so we don't get sued. Press save, and then we're all good to go. So that, everybody, is how we edit an episode from start to finish, including uploading to YouTube and our podcast platform. So if this is helpful for you, please always leave a like on this video, leave a comment down below if I missed anything, or if you want me to explain anything in a little bit more detail. I literally do this day in and day out. We do so much editing because we upload so much content, so I probably missed something that was critical to this whole process. So if you're doing this and you look back and you're like, hey Derek, you're a loser, first of all. Obviously I know, but can you explain how you did this, because it didn't really make sense. So if you do that, leave a comment down below. I'll address it. I'm always responding. So yeah, please do that, because I probably missed everything. So let us know. Again, thank you so much for joining today. If you have any questions on the other podcast equipment that we use, like what I'm recording on right now, or on video or audio, go back and check out the remaining of this, or the previous episodes of this podcast series. This is the end of it. This is the whole shebang. We went over, again, the intro of everything that we're going to talk about, the audio equipment that we use to record, the video equipment that we use to record, our mobile studio when we bring our equipment with us to different interviews, and then also our actual studio. We did a little tour of it. So if any of that interests you, go back and check that out. It is linked within the playlist that this episode is in, so definitely check that out. And look forward to more uploads. We have another series coming out next, which is how to distill whiskey. That's kind of our passion, and we work with a local distillery to do that. So if that's exciting for you, definitely share this with a friend. Let them know that this is coming. We just support local businesses, and we appreciate all of your support. Please remember, always drink responsibly, be a good person. And Michael, I forgot I'm still alone. Don't litter. We're out.